What is up, you guys? Welcome to Illumination Lab. My name is Justin, and today I'll show you how I customize this ship within Cinema4d and Redshift. In this video, I'll show you how I brought in the assets, the lighting I used, and the steps I took to bring it all together. I'm excited to show you guys this one. It's going to be a fun one today, so without further delay, let's get into it. Alright, so starting out our scene today, I'm just going to go into the extensions tab here, click on cargo, and I'm using Redshift today, so I'm just going to select the Redshift material here, and then I'm just going to jump over to Kitbash here. What's really cool is they have a spaceship kit within Kitbash that we're going to use today, so as you guys can see, there's a lot of different assets here, whether it is actual individual pieces here of a ship all the way to actual pre-made ships as well too. So what I'm going to do today is select a few individual pieces here, and then I'm gonna select some of the ships as well. And then what we're going to do is just kind of put some of these pieces together, almost like creating our own ship here. So I'm just going to import some of these here, and then what we'll do is jump over to Cinema4d, and we're just going to take all these pieces and see what we can kind of build with all of these. Alright, so hopping into Cinema4d here, as you can see, we have all of our assets that we imported from Kitbash, and then what I'm just going to do is just separate some of these assets so we can see all of these individual pieces here. And so I'm just going to take a second and kind of separate these out. Alright, so I have it separated out now. I'm going to kind of use this as our base model here, and then I'm just going to try and apply some of these different assets to our plane here to see if we can find something cool that we can make. Now we have the wings here, so what I'm going to do is just try and adjust these real quick to see if we can make a cool look with these wings. But I think they're a little too small for this ship here, so I'm just going to bring those back, and then bring over this one here. Now that one's slightly cooler here, and then I believe we do have this as well that goes onto these little wings here. And then I'm just going to adjust them real quick and just make sure that it actually fits onto the ship here. And then yeah, that's looking pretty good there. So then I also have this vent asset here, so I thought this vent would look pretty cool, so I'm just going to apply it to the surface here of our ship and see if we can get something something cool here. Now I'm just going to hide some of these assets here just because we want to focus a little bit more on the ship here. And sometimes having a busy scene is a little much, so I'm just going to hide them right now. And then we do have these additional wings here, and so I'm just going to kind of rotate these wings here and see if we can kind of create a cool effect somewhat in the front of our ship. And then as I adjust them, you know, I'm really just looking for a cool look here, and really just kind of playing around with it. What's cool about these assets too is you can always make a lot of different things. It's almost like your own you know, Lego set where you can kind of build your own creation with this. So again, I'm just playing around with this now just to kind of see what I'm liking so far. And that's looking pretty good so far. And what we need now is we need some sort of cockpit area. So I'm just going to jump back into Kitbash here, and they have this command deck here. So I'm just going to import this in here, and then I'm just going to adjust it to our ship just to make sure it's to proper scale. And then that looks good so far, so I'll just kind of leave that there for now. And then I'm just going to hop into our Redshift library here, and we're actually going to go into into Kitbash in our Redshift library here, and they have a lot of cool different pipes and different nuts and bolts, and so we'll just kind of play around with some of these. I think some of these connectors here are actually pretty cool as far as applying it to our ship to kind of create a interesting effect here. So what I'm going to do is take this one here, and then I'm just going to copy and paste it over into our scene. And then I think this would actually look pretty cool on the back of our ship here. So I'm just going to kind of clean up our scene here. And then reduce down our ship just because our ship is a little big. And then I'm just going to zoom in here and then adjust this connector here to our ship. And again, there's not necessarily a right answer here. I'm just searching around to try and see if I can find some cool assets here to apply to our ship, and just kind of playing around with it to see what kind of look we can get here. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side here with this connector and put it in this area here. And then next up, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a duplicate of our ship here. And the reason why I'm doing a duplicate is I can easily create some cool different effects within our ship here by deleting some of our segments here. And so I'm just going to kind of go into these wings and cut out a few different portions here. And the reason I do this is to create some sort of variation within the ship, and then to also create some sort of cool effects within the ship here. So I'm just going to again play around with it and delete some of our segments here. Again, there's not a right or a wrong answer. I'm just going about it and looking at a few of the edges here and seeing if I can create an interesting pattern or an interesting look by deleting some of these segments here. And then also, as you can see, I turned on symmetry, and so symmetry is pretty nice because you can do the same pattern on both sides, and so that just kind of helps you, so you're not having to look over to the other side and make sure that you're keeping consistent with the same pattern. It's happening live as you're doing one side. So if you guys ever do have a project that requires you to do multiple things like this, symmetry is going to be your best friend with this, because it's going to make you be a little bit more efficient and save a little bit more time on this. So and this is looking pretty good so far. I think I'll keep that how it is. And then once I switch out of this mode here, you can see that our design pretty much disappeared. And so what I'll do is just throw on this black color here for now, just so I can see what our design's looking like so far. Now that I know what it looks like, I'm just going to go back into the wing here and just kind of continue with our pattern here. And I think that's good for now. We can always just jump back into it if we always want to edit or change it, but I think that looks okay. So what I'm going to do is do these wings next. So I'm just going to copy and paste our wings, slightly move our wings off so it's a little bit more off center, just so we can see what we're working with. And then I'm just going to apply that same black color to the wings here, and then we'll go back in and edit some of our wings here to kind of create a cool looking effect. And then that's pretty simple. I think that's pretty good for what it is. You know, it's with us doing most of the ship here. I think with some spots like the wings here, if we can make it rather simple, sometimes it's a little bit better than some sort of complex design. So I'll just keep those wings as is, and then we're going to work on the back side of the ship here. So same thing, I'm just going to copy and paste and then adjust this back side and just elevate it slightly here, and then go back in. Of course, put on symmetry mode just so it's a little bit easier. And then I'm just going to kind of play around with this design here and follow some of these edges. Again, there's not necessarily a specific design I have in mind, nor is there a right answer at all. I'm just playing around with it and seeing if I can make something cool here. So So I'll just kind of follow the edge of the spine here. And then what I'll do is just kind of work my way out here. And then what I'll do is I'll get into this area as well too. So what I'm going to do is just delete this whole area within this wing here. And I'm just going to just highlight all of these and just delete all of this. And really, I'm just going in and just trying to make it as clean as possible, just so it's, you know, looks a little bit more realistic and not as dirty here. So. So really I'm just following the edges here, and again just deleting some portions here and then just kind of cleaning up some of the geometry as well. Cool. So I like that so far. We're gonna go over to the side here, and I'm just going to highlight some more and just delete those. And then I'll just kind of go down the edge of the ship here. Then what I'll do is kind of make a circular effect around this area here. So I'll just delete all of these here and then just have one single strip going to the back here. All right, so I'm just going to highlight some of this and the back side and just delete that. And that's looking pretty cool so far. This area here, the circle, we can delete this out just so this is empty here. Cool. So that looks fine for now. Now for the front half of the ship. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste and just elevate it slightly here so we can see that black color. And then I'll just go back in, of course, with symmetry on as well. And then I'll just kind of highlight this here and delete. I'll do the same thing on the side to have a cool stripe missing here. Cool. I'll just kind of go all the way down here. And sometimes even like rotating your view or rotating your camera, you can kind of see it from a few different angles. So if you're ever doing something like this or you're working on your own project, sometimes seeing it from a different perspective can kind of either give you a few ideas or allow you to adjust it depending on what you're looking at. I'm just going to kind of follow some of these patterns here. And again, I'm just kind of making it up as I go. I necessarily don't have a plan going in. I don't have any references I'm using today. I'm primarily just winging it here, so. Cool, and then I'm just going to continue to adjust it here slightly to make sure that it is sitting on our ship properly, and then I'm just going to adjust the vent as well, again, to make sure it's sitting on the ship properly and, you know, nothing's kind of clipping into the vent here. All right, so we're pretty much good with our design. As I rotate the ship here, you guys can kind of see what what I came up with. It is a little busy as far as all the design goes, but I'm sure after a couple times of either playing with this, or if you kind of either have a reference or have a general idea already mapped out before you actually start doing this, it can look a little bit more clean. But I think with this one, my goal is to kind of create somewhat of a older ship here, something that is a little bit more worn. So what I'm going to do is just jump back into Kitbash here, just because they have a lot of really cool materials, and I'm gonna try and find some cool colors. I'm thinking maybe like a some sort of rustic green and maybe some yellow as well too. So let's jump back into Kitbash and see what we can find. All right, so inside of Kitbash now, I'm just going to go to the search bar here and type in green, and you can see right away there's tons of different greens here. So I'm just going to edit my search, typing in green metal, and we get a lot of really cool materials here. And I think I'm going to go with this worn green here, again, just because it's going to be more of a either an older ship or a ship that's kind of gone through a lot, has some emotional baggage. So so we're just going to select this worn green metal here, and then I'm going to select this other green as well, just to kind of see which one we really like. And then I'll just kind of select a few just to see again what we're looking for. Now to look into the yellows, so we do have a few different yellow options. I'm just going to select the scratched yellow metal here and then just import that. I'm just going to hop back into Cinema4d and we'll start applying some of these colors to our ship here. So I'm just going to remove the black, and I'll put in the yellow as essentially our top coat, and then the green will be our bottom. So where the black used to be, that's where our yellow is going to be, and then where our white used to be, that's where our green is going to be. So I'm just going to apply some of these colors here. And so yeah, that's what it looks like so far. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scene of the ship within a hangar area. So I'm just going to bring in a plane, stretch it out, and then that will be our floor. What I did like about the black is it does have a nice reflective look to it. So I think we can kind of create a cool effect, especially if we get some cool lighting in there. I think we can find a cool look with that black color there. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of copy and paste our plane here just to create a backside here. And then I'm just going to kind of adjust it to the scene. So, you know, both the ground and then also our wall as well is kind of filling up the scene, and then our ship is essentially the focal point within our render here. So all right, so for lighting, I'm going to bring in a area lights and then shrink it down. And then I think to make a cool effect, I'm going to select the bi-directional, so the light's going to show on both the front and the back side here. And then we can kind of go into our color selection and then do a cool looking orange. I think the orange will really go with the yellow that we have, just because they're a little bit more of a warm color. So I'm just going to apply that here. And then we're going to open up the Redshift render view just to see what kind of effect we can get. All right, so as we hop into the render view here, we have our Redshift camera set up here. And then you really can't see much. So what I'll do is just kind of increase the exposure slightly. And then adjust the area lights to make it a little bit more thin. And really what I'm going for is kind of like a little neon strip here. And so I'll just kind of adjust it to the wall here. And then what I'll do to kind of create a cool effect is I'll just copy and paste the light here and kind of make it similar to our original light. Just bring it down a little bit to kind of create a descending effect. And then I'll copy and paste these and then just reduce it down as well. And then what I'll do is I want the scene to be a little bit on the darker side, just to kind of create a more dramatic feel. And so what I'll do is bring in a area lights to kind of help illuminate the ship here a little bit more. And then I'm just going to kind of play around with the light just to see what kind of look we can get with this. And immediately here you can you can already see it's a little too bright, so I'm just going to kind of bring that down and then really kind of just play with it within the scene here to see what we can get. Now what I'm going to do is just hop into Grayscale Gorilla, and we're going to find a cool looking gobo just to kind of create a texture within the light essentially. And so I'll just apply that to the spotlight here. And then what's cool is, even though we do have a gobo in here, we can always go into the color of the light and still adjust it, even though we do have a gobo. And again, I'm just playing around with the light just to kind of see what effect we can get. And I think I like that there. That looks pretty good so far. What I think will be cool is if we can highlight the engine here. And so I'm just going to bring in a area light. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to make it into a sphere and then just reduce down the size. And then I'm also going to select a nice little blue color here. And then I'm just going to adjust it and then just insert our lights into our engine here. And what's cool about this too is, since essentially our camera is not really going to see the engine, but our material that we put on both our floor and our wall is reflective. Within our render, you're going to see that blue illuminating within the scene here. So I'm just going to kind of shrink this down and just play with the exposure and the intensity a little bit to see what kind of effect we can get. And then I'll just kind of copy and paste for each side here and just put some of these lights into our engine. And then I can select them all and then again play with the exposure and the intensity, and so I can kind of see in real time the effect we can get. So, and as I increase the exposure here, you can see we get a cool effect where we see the actual reflection of the ship on our floor here, and so it kind of creates a cool effect. So it looks like, you know, our ship is, you know, either getting back or about to take off, and it's hovering off of the ground. And then what I can do too is bring in another spotlight here and then just adjust it and kind of play with the fall off and the intensity to kind of either create a dramatic highlight within the scene here. And so I'm just going to try and highlight the front of the ship a little bit more. And so really what I want to do is really kind of have some dramatic highlights, and then to try and make it so the light shines mostly within the front to left side of the ship, and then as we kind of look at the ship in whole, we can see that, you know, there are spots that are really pronounced within the lights, and then there are some more dark areas as well too. So again, it kind of helps create that more dramatic look. And so I'm just going to hop into another perspective here just to see again what other looks we can get. And then, like I said before, sometimes you can, you know, come across something that you don't see in one perspective. So, and then the reason I bring in multiple cameras is I want to be able to hop in between certain cameras when I'm rendering. And so I just try to find some really cool perspectives, and then I already have the camera set up, so when I do render, I can hop from camera 1 to camera 2 to camera 3 without having to render and then bring in the camera, adjust the camera to the scene, play with it, and then decide that I like it and then have to render again. I feel like it's a little bit more efficient if I already set up the perspectives I want, and then I can render all of them out when needed. All right, so jumping into the wrap up portion of this video. With this video, I wanted to show you guys, again, similar to the Art Deco video. If you guys seen the Art Deco video, I wanted to create a scene without having to know how to model. And so, especially with people just starting out with Cinema4d, or, you know, just starting out as an artist in general, there are a lot of really cool ways to create a scene that doesn't require a ton of pre-existing knowledge or a ton of technical work within the whatever software program you're using. So what we did today is we went into Kitbash, found a few different assets. We built our own ship essentially, and then really I just copy and paste each segment of our ship to create a cool look, and allowed us to apply multiple colors within the ship here. Of course, this is very much a surface level. We could definitely go into the materials and adjust the materials a little bit better depending on what look we wanted, or if we wanted to add in a little bit more detail. But again, the reason for this video is to just show you guys that there are easy ways to kind of create a, you know, either somewhat of a complex scene or more of a visually nice scene without having the technical ability to actually create a ship. And so, or even if you do have the technical ability to be able to make a ship, but you are on a time crunch, you can make something that is kind of uniquely your own without having to actually go through the entire process to make it within scale or to make it essentially from scratch. And so there are ways that you can kind of not cheat your way through it, but be able to create something in a efficient manner, but still have more personable elements to it where you can say that, you know, you created that to some capacity. So anyways, just want to show you guys this as well. Let me know if you guys want to see more modeling videos, or if you guys like videos like this where we kind of take pre-existing assets and kind of create a scene within Cinema4d here. So just let me know in the comment section, or, you know, throw up a like if you like the video or you like the video format. But just like that, that's the end of the video. I really enjoyed this one today, and I'll see you guys on the next one.